Hey guys, welcome back to a new video. So in this video I'm going to show you how to make this kind of Valorant edits in After Effects, and this video is sponsored by Aegis, which is an amazing After Effects plugin, and it is also available for Premiere Pro. They also have this starter pack which you can get absolutely for free. We're going to use some of the features in this tutorial. Now let's talk about the most interesting part, which is their paid packs. They doesn't cost very much, but it gives you so many effects, and all you have to do is drag and drop it into your project. For example, let's take the Seamless Transition pack, which is one of the most popular packs. It have 1600 plus transitions which you can add in your videos. If you edit for clients or maybe you upload YouTube videos, then this plugin is going to help you so much by saving your time, and also it will make your videos look so much professional. They also have shape elements and liquid elements for motion designing. There are also glitch effects, title animation, typography and so many more things. And they also have this special pack where you can get everything for such a discounted price. It is called I Want It All bundle, so I highly recommend you guys to check it out. I'll provide all the links in the description. Now let's get into the tutorial. Open After Effects and here create a new project. After that, create a new composition, and here you can give it any name you want. The resolution which I'm using is 1080 pixels. My frame rate is 30 and the duration is 15 seconds. You can change this according to your needs. Now let's import the music file, so you just have to drag and drop it into After Effects. Now double click on the music file to view it in a preview tab. From here you can change the preview tabs. Now let's set a starting point for the music from where the music will start, and click on this icon. Now move the player to the point where the music will end and click here. Now drag and drop the music file into the timeline and the highlighted area will be added. Now press L 2 times on your keyboard to view the waveform and mark the beats. You can use the star button on your numpad to add the marks. Next you have to add your gameplay in the same way you have added music, and make sure you have recorded in 60 fps or above 60 fps, which will help us to get a smooth slow motion. So here double click on the video and highlight the area which you want to add. Now bring the video into the timeline. So here is the layer. Now we have to enable time remapping in this layer, and to do that you have to press Ctrl plus Alt plus T at the same time, and make sure your layer is selected, otherwise it will not work. And it should give you a space under the layer where you can add your keyframes. Next we have to change the frame blending, so right click on the layer and from here select pixel motion. This will help us to get those smooth slow motions. Now you have to add a keyframe at the beginning, and this will hold the frame which you are seeing right now in this position. So later if you change the speed, this frame will not move from here and our video will start from here. Next I'll try to find when he starts to fire. So in this part of the video the first bullet is coming. You can see it here. Now let's add a keyframe here. We'll move the keyframe to the mark so that he starts to fire from the mark. By doing this, you are just increasing the speed of the video, and as you know, if you increase the speed, the video will become short. Next, I'll find where he stops firing and add a keyframe there. Then move the keyframe to the second mark. Here you can see the headshot sign, so let's add a keyframe here. Now move the keyframe to the second mark. So it will start to fire from the first mark and it will end at the second mark. Now here if you look carefully, there is a little pause in the video, and we have to remove that because it will look very bad in the video. So let's add a keyframe here when the pause ends. Now you have to move this keyframe over the other keyframe and it will delete that part. This is looking better. Now I want the video to end when he throws that magazine. So let's add a keyframe there. Now move the keyframe to the mark. The video will end here, so press Ctrl plus Shift plus D and press delete to delete that part. Now select the last two keyframes, and here you have to add a velocity effect where the video will be fast at the beginning, then at the center it will be slow, then again it will be fast. After selecting the keyframes, press F9 and go to the graph editor, and if you don't press F9 you cannot adjust the graph. And one more thing, if speed graph is selected, then you have to change it to value graph. Now let me try to explain how graph works if you don't know that. Now let's take the most commonly used velocity graph, which you can see right now. At the beginning the curve is going up, which means the speed is increasing, so your video will be fast here. At the center you can see that the curve is not going up that much, so the video will be slow here, and at the end it is again going up, so it will be fast there. Now let me show you how to do it practically. In the beginning you have to bring this up, and at the end you have to bring this down. Now our graph is looking something similar. It is going up at the beginning and at the end, and in the center it is still going up but not that much. If the line is straight then your video will stop, so we don't want that, so try to keep it at an angle. The first clip is looking good. Now let's import the second one. This one is a sniper clip, so first change the frame blending to pixel motion and also enable time remapping. If you forget the shortcut you can just right click and from here you can enable it. Add a keyframe at the beginning like you have done with the previous clip. Now try to find where you are shooting the enemy, and after hitting him you have to add a keyframe here. Now move the keyframe to the first mark, and in the second mark he is going to reload his gun, so find where he is reloading the gun and add a keyframe. Now move this keyframe to the second mark. In the next mark the video will end. So we have added all the 4 keyframes. Now delete the extra part of the video and select all these keyframes and press F9. Now go to the graph editor, and here try to make the same graph which you have made earlier. First it will go up, and in the second portion it will come down, and again bring this up. Now try to adjust the graph according to your video. Give it some time and play with it and you will understand how it works. For the second keyframe you don't have to make the same graph over and over again. Even just copy this curve. So select the keyframe and press Shift plus C to copy it. Then select the keyframe where you want to apply the graph. Then press Shift plus V to paste it. And make sure you have the AEJuice plugin, otherwise this feature will not work. And this is a absolutely free feature, so all of you can get it. All the links will be in the description, so make sure you check it out. So this is how the final graph will look. In each keyframe the video will get faster, and between the keyframes the video will be slow. Now let me show you how the video looks. By following the same steps you can add time remapping to all your clips. So I'll fast forward this part of the video. Now let's add some cropping and transitions in our video. But before that, add a motion tile. In the effects library search for motion tile and add it to your video. And here turn on mirror edges and increase the output value to around 250. This will help us to mirror the edges in the transitions. Actually let me show you how it works. Press S on your keyboard to bring the scale value of any layer. Now if I decrease the scale you can see that the edges have this mirror effect. Now let me change the scale to 100 to its original size. Now add a keyframe in this position. When it starts to fire, you can click on this timer to add the first keyframe. Now here I'll add another keyframe, and in the second keyframe you have to increase the size, but we actually want the zoom in effect in the first keyframe. We will get that by using curves. For now let's increase the size here in the second keyframe. Let me just move this to the center, and I'll add one more keyframe here and change the size to its original size, which is 100%. Now we want the zoom effect near the first keyframe and zoom out effect will be at the last keyframe. So select all the keyframes and press F9 and go to the graph editor. Here make sure you have selected speed graph. Now select the center keyframe and you have to make a curve similar to mine where the curve is going up at the beginning. With the help of this graph, we will get the zoom in effect at the beginning near this keyframe. Now let's make the second graph. We want the zoom out effect at the end near the last keyframe. So I'll make a graph like this where it is going down at the end. So it will look something like this. Now let's add a transition here. You can select P to bring up the position keyframes. And by the way, you can also get these kind of transitions in the Ajuice plugin. There are so many transitions which you can add in the seamless transition pack, and they look much better than this. Also, they will save a lot of time because you just have to drag and drop this into the timeline and you will get the transition. Anyways, now let's make the transition using the position keyframes. So add a keyframe here. Now move a little forward and add one more keyframe. In the second keyframe, I'm going to move the layer to the left side. Now select both the keyframes and press F9 and go to the graph editor. Here you have to make a similar graph like mine. Also, don't forget to add motion blur in all the layers. Next, select the second layer and select P to bring up the position keyframes. Now add a keyframe here at the right side first, then add a keyframe at the left side. In this keyframe, move the layer to the right side and make sure both the layers are moving in the same direction. Next, select both of the keyframes and press F9 and go to the graph editor. Here you have to make a similar graph like mine. This is actually the opposite graph from the previous layer. So this is what happens when you don't apply motion tile. Now let me just copy the motion tile effect from the previous layer by pressing Ctrl+C after selecting the effect. Then select the layer where you want to apply it and press Ctrl+V. By the way, one more thing, try to make the transition in the same direction where your character is moving. Let's add a simple zoom effect when he shoots the enemy. So press S to bring the scale value. Now add a keyframe by pressing on the timer. Add one more keyframe before it and one keyframe after it. This will be a little far from the previous one. Now in the center, you have to increase the scale and select all the keyframes and press F9. Now go to the graph editor and here you have to make a similar graph like mine. This graph will help us to get the zoom effect at the center, near the center keyframe. Now add the same zoom effects and transitions where it is needed. You can copy and paste the effects by these shortcuts. Now this is the most fun part. We're going to add the effects. So create a new adjustment layer. Now let me make it short. You can rename the adjustment layers so that you can remember which effects you have added. Now let me make few copy of this adjustment layer and also rename them. Also add a mark in these layers by pressing the star key and selecting the individual layer. This will help us to remember that where we have the most intense effect. The first effect we are going to make is lens blur. So in the effects and preset tab, search for camera lens blur and add it to adjustment layer. Here change the blur radius to 0 and click on this timer to add a keyframe. Now press U to bring the keyframes and add one more keyframe at the beginning. Now add one more keyframe here. All these keyframes have 0 value. In the center, you have to increase the blur. I am increasing it to around 50. Now we have to add keyframes of gain and click on this timer to add a keyframe. Now add the same keyframes, one at the beginning and one here at the right side. In the center one, you have to increase the gain. This will increase the brightness in the bright parts. Now you have to adjust the threshold so that some part of the video is bright. Now click the timer on the aspect ratio option and add the same keyframes in the same positions. As you can see, my aspect ratio is 0.5. So change your aspect ratio to 0.5 before adding the keyframes. Now in the center, you have to add a keyframe of aspect ratio and here you have to increase it to around 1.5. So this is how the blur looks. Now you can just duplicate this layer and add it wherever you want. In the next adjustment layer, I'm going to add flicker effect and it is from Sapphire. So make sure you have that Sapphire plugin. This effect looks really good if you add it when you are firing. The next effect is a wave warp glitch effect. So search for wave warp and add this effect to the adjustment layer. Here you have to decrease this to around 10 This will decrease the space between the waves, so it will give us this kind of effect. Next, you can see that there are some black portions in the edges. You can cover that by changing the padding to all edges. Now add a keyframe of height by pressing on the timer. Now you have to add a keyframe here and one keyframe here after 2 frames. Now in the center keyframe, try to increase the wave height, and in the first and the second keyframe, in the first and the last keyframe, you have to change it to 0. And this is how the glitch effect will look. Now you can just duplicate these adjustment layers and place the effect wherever you want, like when firing the sniper. Also, I like to add this blur effect over the transitions. Now we only have to add the sound effects, like you can add gun sounds and you can also add whoosh sound effect from AJuice plugin. You can add these whoosh sound effects in the transitions and it is provided in the free starter pack, so you can get it for free. And that is all for this video. Thank you guys for watching and see you guys in the next video.